This was what I was shooting my YouTube videos with. It's gonna be a big upgrade. Plus I gotta stop looking at the camera. I mean the little picture on the camera. Yeah. Hey YouTube! What's happening? I started another project and I started it without you. So I'm just gonna show you what I did. But here's my project. I got a very big crack in my excavator boom right here. And it runs down this arm just a little bit. You can see where I cleaned it up real good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this plate right off. I don't need this attachment anymore because I'm going to go with a hydraulic thumb on it. And so I'll show you how my project goes. This is what I already started. I took my plasma cutter, I blew a hole in it. And then I opened the hole. So I wanted to see inside if there was a piece of plate somewhere to support the arm, like a box plate or something. And as I was doing that, I cut off the old brackets, and this one and that one, to get down to where I could work. And then I cut a hole with a plasma cutter around, and I opened my box so I could get inside. So that's how far I am right now, guys. And we'll pick up the thing from now. Here's my next step, guys. Cut that with a zip disc, a little notch across. I'm gonna start my plasma cutter, and I'm gonna run right down that plate. And I'm going to cut that plate out. I don't need that plate. That arm's on it. That's my big crack that I'm fixing up there. It's a pretty bad crack. It's been welded and welded and welded. So our story behind this excavator is I bought it. It was a bank repo, or a repo unit, and it's a big upgrade for mine. That's gonna be quite a fix-up job. Yeah. That's my little crack on the side there. You can see right there I put a little punch hole. I'm gonna drill a drill bit through there. I'm gonna V that crack, put a plate inside, and weld it after I lift off that top plate. As you can see, I'm gonna do a little zip cut right there. I don't want to touch it, it's too hot. And zip cut the side, and we're gonna lift off that little plate on top. Oh. It's like doing 100-pound reps. Whew, it's heavy. So I thought it was a plate, guys, but actually it was just dirt in there. Yeah. And so I cut it out. That's what she looks like, my box. Well, I guess I call it a box now. And this is what I was fixing. Here's that big ugly crack that was, well, long before my time. What they call stress crack. So somebody welds the hell out of it on top. If you can't fix it, you gotta get inside. So I got inside. Also, when I cut with my plasma cutter, if you can tell, I cut into the half-inch plate that was on top that I'm getting rid of, so I could keep my wall very, very good. So here's my wall, and it's still like when I cut here, can you tell? So I cut that's the weld on the outside, and there's part of the wall a little bit, and like a 1/4 inch missing, but I'll fix that up with a grinder really good, and get some 1/2 inch plate. But first I gotta fix that little crack over there. And there he is. He's really small. So I put a punch in the bottom like I showed you before, and there's that crack going up. Let's hit that thing with a hammer. Darn! My next step, guys, I got all that existing manufacturer weld, so it's out like, oh boy, quite a bit actually. But anyways, I'm gonna use a plasma cutter. I'm gonna shave all that off the sides, so when I weld my plate on, I got gooder penetration. I'm also gonna do probably 2 passes on that on each side. Another thing is I'm going to take this weld out from here too, up about 4 or 5 inches, so all my start points don't start at the same point, like my plate and my weld. And so that's the edge that I took off. You can see here how much the weld is. And good taper here. And then my plate was on top. There, you can see where it was on top here. And the rest is pretty well to do with the grinder. Well, YouTube, don't really think that's worth fixing. I'm gonna cut that off up to this mechanical, up to this factory weld. I'm gonna get a piece of mechanical tubing. Put it on there. Yeah, throw the tube in my lathe and make like a 2 inch, maybe a 1/4 inch bigger inside. That way, when you pump grease into it, yeah. Also gonna do a trick like that. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a fitting there for grease. A little pipe goes inside and welds on the tube. So I'm gonna cut a little hole, or drill a hole in the mechanical tube and put my grease fitting in. Kind of do the same idea. That's the game, so let's chop it out of there. I gotta cut it out carefully with a grinder. A couple of little welds inside to take out. I'm just cutting on the side all the way down. That looks messy because I cut it. There was a weld inside, so I cut the weld off. And I'm running along on the outside there to cut those off, but I think I can reach them inside, so I'm just going to nip those little welds. Last year's old broken farm wagon. It's good shop heat. So YouTube, I'm turning my new yoke for my shovel arm. I don't know what you call that piece, but it's the little wrist pin that holds the 3.5 inch pin for the bucket. and the old one is 6.8 inches, and we are at 6.8 inches. So I'm gonna do one more finish cut just to clean up the edge real good. Then I'm gonna face this off to make it nice and square. And we're gonna change and get a line bore, and we're gonna bore in each side what I need for the new bushing. So let's get back to lathing. I'm turning my piece at 50 RPM, and I'm cutting on fine thread 113 per inch. I'm going very slow. I have such a large overhang, and because I got a hole in it, I can't support it at that end. And I don't want to cut like 2 millimeter off in a shot. So I'm just cutting like 0.5 of a millimeter as I go. So let's get back at her. There's our finished product on the outside, guys. I got one little line there. I don't know why. And if you look over here, can you see the little waves in it? That's what you call chatter on a lathe. And it's to do with sound when the knife cuts the metal. And the sound runs through the steel post and the lathe and all that stuff. And it makes that little bit of lines and stuff. They call it chatter. And I don't know how to beat chatter, but there it is. And shiny and beautiful. So I'm gonna cut this edge off, like a little 45, maybe in like 1/4 inch. But I'm gonna face this outside first. Hi guys! I have such a large overhang. I'm almost 13-inch overhang. Can you see me up there? Anyways. So I'm using my lathe and I'm cutting off 1/20th of an inch at a time. I'm really taking my time doing it. And I gotta open my hole to 105 millimeter for my bushing, and I'm reaching in 80 millimeters. So let's show you how we bore a little hole. I'm all done machining my piece. See my little line there? I had some chatter on my last turn, son of a gun. But it ain't gonna hurt nothing, I guess. And she's some tight there. There you go. It's pretty tight. I don't want to shove it in all the way because I want to drill a hole in. And I gotta build a plate on the end to hold the bushing in the end piece. And I bet... Oh, there we go. Pretty good, eh? Gonna get me a piece of cardboard and see if I can draw that up. So I drilled a hole at the bottom of the crack. But the crack stops more like up here somewheres. And I'm like almost 2/3 through on this side, and I'm 1/3 through on this side. It's just a little bit in the middle. I'm gonna weld the back, I'm gonna put a plate on it, grind it nice and flush, and then I'm gonna finish welding the front. There's my little crack fixed up. So I welded from the bottom, clean it up, weld from the bottom, clean it up, weld from the bottom, clean it up. So when I weld up, and then I come back a little bit. That way I don't have an extra crack at the top. And that's the inside, same thing. I drilled the hole, I start at the hole, and I weld right up, and then I clean it up so she's all flush. And I think I'll put a little plate in there, and a stitch weld on both sides, just in case. There's my weld, guys. So I do one weld like so, and then like I explained before, I'm gonna put one here between the plate and the weld again to fill in like that part, and then I'll put another weld up here to fill in that part. Good old-fashioned trim clad. We're gonna paint her gray, clean it all up good. Hey YouTube, what's happening? I fixed my excavator stick. That's how I did it. Trying to show you how I did it. Lucy, come on, up, up. Oh, how you doing? Show them what you got, eh, Lucy? Huh? Well, thanks YouTube for checking out my video. And my sexy dog, isn't she so beautiful? I love her.